Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ryan from Team Weissfeather. I'm here to give you my Aqua stat profile for the Maelstrom build. So let's get into it. Okay, so here's your starting Vanguard. Um, I strongly prefer Officer Cadet Eric over Aqua Jacob Kid. I mean, it's just a standard grade 3 searcher for Counterblast 1, but I don't know. I guess you need Aqua Jacob Kid if you feel like it, but the likelihood that you're ever going to get his effect off is very likely, and is very unlikely, sorry. And it just doesn't really seem worth it. So it's better to go with a grade 3 searcher in case you, I don't know, you end up with a handful of grade 2s and you can't throw out to grade 3, so you have a chance to fix that. So there's that. For your grade 1 lineup, I suggest just 2 accelerated commandos. They're, I mean, later game, the plus 2,000 boost, it can be useful. Say you can put it on like Storm Rider Basil, so he can for his first attack he can hit 12k, so his first attack won't fizzle on 11k vanguards. I suggest just 2 Tier Knight Cypress. I like this guy. I mean, Counterblast 1 plus 1,000 till the end of turn. I mean, Aqua Force isn't really Counterblast heavy, so there will be turns where you can, I don't know, Counterblast 3 for an extra 2,000. The boost it can prove to be very useful. Um, have 4 Tier Knight Theo, because he's your standard 8k booster. So of course you want to run max of him. 4 of Emerald Shield Pascal, because he's your perfect guard. I mean, if you feel like 4 is overcrowding, then you can just go with 3, but I prefer 4. And then I have 2 of Battle Siren Dorothy, because her effect is what's going to help Maelstrom hit 26k late game. The extra plus 4,000 if she's boosting a Vanguard, if it's a third attack or more. It's really useful, and you can hit for high numbers, which is kind of insane late game. So that's my grade 1. That's my grade 1s. For grade 2s, you have 4 of Tier Knight Lazarus. He's your standard 10k grade 2 beater. 3 of Storm Idol Basil. He's going to be your bread and butter of this deck, basically. The 2 Storm Rider cards are the main key to unlocking that 4th attack for your Vanguard so they can use their effects. I personally only use 3 because I felt 4 might be overcrowding a little bit, and again, he's only 8k base, so you never want to ride him, ever. Otherwise, you're just kind of leaving yourself open to punishment for a return. I have 4 of Tier Knight Valeria. I'm going to be completely honest, she's my favorite unit of this deck. She's... Okay, so, you know how Vivian is pretty much the main pressure of Gold Power in the deck. Valeria creates insane amounts of pressure. She's the 4th attack or more. If her attack is the Vanguard, you can choose one of their rear guards and retire it. No one ever wants to deal with that. They're going to block her, and if they can't block her, then they're just absolutely got to pay for it. It's amazing. I think it's a great effect, and I love Valeria. So I believe that, yeah, that's it for my grade 2s. Okay, so for my grade 3s, I have 2 Storm Rider Diamantes. He's very useful because he can hit 11k if he attacks first, and then you can switch places with the unit behind him. Same thing as Storm Rider Basil, only he can hit 11k Vanguards. So you're going to need him a lot, and you can also search him out with Eric, which is useful if you don't have any Storm Riders and you need that column set up. You need that column every single game. I have just 1 Hydra Hurricane Dragon, because his effect is, well, if he's the 4th attack or more, if he hits the Vanguard, well, one he gets plus 3k, and 2, he can retire all of their rear guards. Another card that's just insane and no one wants to deal with it, so they're going to block it. I also have 2 of Naval Gazer Dragon. See, I get into a lot of arguments because, oh, I don't know, people don't like Naval Gazer Dragon a lot, but I do. I mean, Limit Break 4, Counterblast 2, he gets +3. He gets +3,000 if he's the third attacker more regardless, but if you Counterblast 2, he gets another +3,000, and if he's the third attacker more, so you don't need Storm Rider column, if he's just the third attacker more, and it hits, you can stand 2 rear guards. I think that's insane. And then we have the boss of the deck. 3 of Blue Storm Dragon Maelstrom. I don't even know where to begin, honestly. So he's Limit Break 4. When he attacks the Vanguard, if he's the 4th battle or more until the end of that battle, 1, he gets +5k. 2, if he hits, Counterblast 1. When he hits, you can draw a card, and you can choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. Maelstrom hits for, I don't know, I'd say like, okay, well, regardless of if he has a booster behind him, late game he's going to swing for 16 if you have a Storm Rider column. If you have Dorothy behind him, he gets the plus. He not only gets he gets 6 from Dorothy, +5 from his Limit Break, and then an extra 4 from Dorothy. So he's swinging for 26k. Now, late game is the point of the game where you start perfect guarding Vanguards, and I mean it's no real exception in Aqua Force because the Vanguards swing last. You don't really have any reason not to perfect guard them unless you don't have one. But I don't know. When I get into my triggers, I'm going to explain why that can be a little tricky. But the thing is, no one ever wants Maelstrom's effect to go off because they're not only that they minusing 1, you're plusing 1. So I don't know. I think he's probably the scariest Aqua Force unit. I love him. I've won so many games just because no one feels like dealing with his effects, so they toss out guards like there's no tomorrow. But I don't know. That's it for my grade 3s. So let's go to triggers now. I have eight stand triggers. Because it just makes sense, really. You're always swinging last with your Vanguard, so even if you get criticals, if you get perfect guarded, then your criticals just fizzle, so what's the point in that? You also have a lot of cards that say if they're like the 3rd or 4th attack, then they get so-and-so effect. I mean, that's the case with the clan, period, not just this build. So you would want to use stand triggers instead of critical triggers. Now, it creates less pressure, but at the same time, you're able to utilize everything that's in your deck. If you have critical triggers just to be in there, and they fizzle all the time, then they're pretty much useless. At least with stands, you can guarantee yourself another attack, and they'd have to guard again. So I have 4 draw triggers, just because Aqua Force isn't really keen on draw power. You know, you need that hand all the time. Oh, another thing is there's only one type of draw trigger available for Aqua Force, like, period. So you'd have to get these ones out of the starter deck. And then, of course, I have 4 heal triggers, because why wouldn't you? So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, your main field setup would want to look something like, hold on, you'd want something like this. I mean, because look what you're dealing with. You have you're attacking with an 11k first. Switch places with another 11k, so you can either punch someone's rearguard in the face or just attack the Vanguard again. You have 17k column over here, Valeria. Sometimes I like to just swing with Valeria first and bet on a stand trigger. So when you stand her up again and give her the power boost, you can in attack boosted. So that's like a guaranteed retire, unless they feel like tossing out their entire hand. And then you have your center column, which is going to be your bread and butter for everything. You want to attack this last every single time because you want the pressure of Maelstrom's Limit Break. You want people to just absolutely toss out their hand because they don't want you to retire a rear guard and they don't want you to draw a card. So, I don't know. I play a lot of games where I've just had, like, 3 front row Maelstroms, and they've had nothing but 10k columns, so they can't swing at anything, so they're just kind of frustrated. I think the thing I like most about Maelstrom is that he's 11k. Like, you can't really argue with that. He just says no to 20k columns all the time. I mean, all you have to do is just drop a 10k, and then it's not really a problem anymore. It's just one card, maybe 2. I don't know. Sometimes I don't like having a front row all grade 3, so I would prefer just using Valeria on one side and Lazarus on the other, just because you can intercept. And but yeah, that's pretty much what you would want to go with for your main field setup. I mean, I guess the best way to describe it is annoying, because you're just dealing with a bunch of low power attacks all the time, like swinging with an 11k, swinging with the 10k, 17 over here. It's just annoying. I mean, the thing I like about Aqua is that they're just a group of serial attackers. So, unless you want to get punched in the face over and over and over again, then you're going to toss out your hand because you don't want to deal with it. But yeah, I mean, this is my main deck right now. I really like it. It took me a while to get a lot of this stuff together. Actually, no, that's a lie. It didn't take me that long at all, but, the thing that took me the longest to get were my Maelstroms, but everything else was relatively easy to come across, and, I mean, since height prices have gone down, I'd say it shouldn't be too expensive to put an Aqua deck together. I mean, I know Maelstrom is still, like, 20 to 25. Pascal is still around 20. Basil probably should have dropped, but other than that, I mean, Aqua cards are pretty cheap. And they're easy to put together. It's a fun deck to run. I wouldn't necessarily call it autopilot, because you have to know what to hit with what all the time, and you have to be aware of. Well, I mean, I guess this is the case with all decks. You have to be aware of what's in your opponent's hand, what they're going to guard with, what's precious on their field, what they're going to protect exactly, and you have to know which one of your rear guards. Well, your primary objective is to keep your Storm Rider safe at all time. That's why you want them to be in the back row. Whenever, like, yeah, you just want them to be in the back row. Say you're dealing with, like, Kagero or Narukami, you might run into a little trouble, because they're just gonna be like, ho, I retire your Storm Rider. I mean, that's happened to me a lot, but most of the time I have a backup in my hand, or I can get to one really easily, so I can just pick up where I left off. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about Aqua. I mean, it's a really fun deck. I like it a lot. But yeah, so I think I'm just gonna leave it there. Well, thanks for watching. I look forward to uploading more deck profiles. So, subscribe, like the video, So, see you guys.